Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Just Be a Man podcast. It's your man Chuck. I'm back, and I'm hosting this week, and we're going to talk about politics today. We don't really talk about politics too much. We try to keep it neutral, but with everything that's going on in the world, and it is election day, we're going to talk about politics. I got the usual cast of characters. I got Wayne,
Yo.
Mike,
What up?
Stefan,
Yes, sir.
and my man Charles.
What's going on, my brother?
Not too much, man. So, election day. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long 4 years to get to this point. It looks like we're down to the wire. I believe Biden's got somewhere, I believe 264 votes, and Trump is around two. I had it written down. I'm sorry.
213. I
214.
think
Yeah, about 214. Yeah.
264 and 214. So, I mean, it looks like he's going to pull it out, and it looks like, I believe it's Pennsylvania is might be the one to do it. But let me ask you guys this: Biden wins. It's been 4 years under the Trump administration. A lot of stuff's happened. What's one of the first things you'd like to see happen under the Biden administration as soon as the Biden administration takes charge?
Well, let me jump in there. This is Steph. The first thing that I heard, I think a couple weeks ago, was that Biden plans on his first executive order is to form a task force to get the migrant children reconnected with their families. We've got over 500 children still in quote unquote cages that have not been reconnected with their families. Hey, I'm a father of two, and I'm an uncle of several. That would bother me so much, but apparently it doesn't bother the six, let's say, 65 million American voters who have possibly voted for Trump. You know, it's a sad commentary. So yeah, the first thing I want Biden to do and or enact is that executive order. We got to get those kids back with their families.
Yeah, yeah. What say you, Wayne?
Oh, wow. I'd like to get my loans forgiven. Oh, that does count. I'm just saying, if we get we're doing our wish list. I'm just saying. No, but seriously, I think I don't know about executive orders or what's actually on his plate to do to be done first, but seriously, I think this has to be something done with race relations. You know, going into this election, I thought I thought that this was going to be a no-brainer, right? I mean, people like who they like. People are going to do what they're going to do. But the thing that was most, I won't say disturbing, but most revealing to me was how close it is. Like it shouldn't be this close. Like,
No, sir.
What does that say? That says that half the people who say they're going to do some ain't doing it. And another thing is saying that half the people out there are following. They like what he's doing. Like they've seen this movie for 4 years and want it to keep going. That's bananas to me. That's bananas. But I really think there should be something about race relation. And it's not necessarily just black and white. It's a matter of just being, I don't know, just compassionate about what other people are dealing with. You don't got to be don't need to be friends and all that other stuff, but just some compassion that people go and deal with different stuff.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Well, this is meant this political cycle, if you will, has it's revealed a lot about this country. It's revealed a lot about how people really feel and what people are really willing to put up with in order to get what they want. So Charles, what do you say, man? What do you think about all this?
Well, mine is twofold, Chuck. I would like to see tax reform right out the gate. You know, when I walked into my tax preparer, I asked for that $750 Trump deal, and guess what? He laughed in my face. So if a multimillionaire can only pay $750 in federal taxes and I'm paying out the yin yang, that's a problem. And that's a problem I want to see fixed as soon as humanly possible. The other one I would sort of tag on to what Wayne spoke about. There has to be a concerted effort to bring this this country together. Race relations, politically, you know, we're polarized right now, and there has to be a way to sort of reach across the aisle and maybe put together some type of bipartisan task force that can get together and talk as adults
Mm.
so that we can finally start getting some common sense initiatives done. I'm not even talking about the hard stuff. I'm just talking about common sense type
Right.
stuff. You know,
Right.
so if we can get to that level, I think that will set the tone for a solid presidency going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's what politics is about, right? It's about disagreeing.
Hmm.
It's about the parties coming together over an issue. One party's not You're not going to agree on everything. One party disagrees, the other party disagrees, but you work it out. You talk together, and you try to find some common resolution so that you can, have a law, if you will, that that'll pass and stand the test of time. If we do everything through like executive order and stuff like that, the first thing the next party that comes into power is going to do is get rid of that
Undo it.
executive order because
Mhm.
they didn't agree with it.
That's
Mike,
right.
what do you think? What do you think the first thing Biden or the Biden administration needs to do when they get in office?
Um, I don't know, man. Like I said,
Or what would you
as
like to
far
see happen? That's what I should say. I'm sorry.
well, I think, like I said, starting off with the racial divide, try to bind that up the best we can because it's a big issue amongst older people and younger people. People are walking on eggshells around each other. People are not saying how they really feel, but they're behind closed doors. This is what you're seeing right now. You're seeing people saying one thing out in public, but behind closed doors and behind that voters booth, they're doing something else. A lot of these younger kids now, these younger supposedly 4-year college students, don't like this anti-establishment going against the grain type attitude of Donald Trump. I don't get it, but they like that stuff. It fits right into the way they're thinking against the establishment. They like the way it appears they like the way he talks about going against the grain, about the way he talked to people. For some reason, I don't know what it is. That's the pull. Like Wayne said, it shouldn't take this long for all this thing that's going on for these last 4 years. What he did within the government, outside the government, perpetrating all these different groups and everything. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't take this long. So what we're seeing is how America, like my man said with the video, this is America. What
Yes,
you
sir.
see is what you're getting right now. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean they've the Trump administration, in my opinion, has effectively peeled back the layers of the onion. You know, and the more they peel it back, the more the ugly underbelly of this country is exposed. And the underbelly of this country was formed and built on racism, and it's going to be here for quite some time. After we're gone. I hope not. We all want a better place for our children, but unfortunately, it looks like it might be around for some time. But we still got to do our thing. We still got to do, um, put our best foot forward and educate and try to make sure that things go better for the next generation. What I'd like to see in the first coming days of the Biden administration is, of course, the pandemic efforts. I'd like to see that stepped up. Um, Same things. I mirror the same sentiments that you guys had. Kids in cages and all that. They need to reunite these kids. They don't even know. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to do it. Is it DNA testing or whatever? That's crazy. The one thing that I'd really like to see is I want to know more. I mean, I know it's out there, and if you go to, I believe, Biden's website, his plans for Black America and the Black agenda and stuff like that. It looks like in Pennsylvania and Detroit, yeah, Michigan. So you got Detroit, you got Philly, you got Pittsburgh. Philly and Pittsburgh are more than likely going to take Pennsylvania over the top. So and Detroit is going to take Michigan. So I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
No, I want you to finish your thought. I was going to
Yeah.
ask something different.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say was, once again, the black vote saves the presidency, or it gets the next president elected. Well, I want to see what the the black agenda, if you will. What are we getting for our vote? Traditionally, the black vote has been the vote to help win the presidency, but 4, 8 years into it, we don't get too much for our vote. So that's one thing I'd like to see. I'd like to see. I know there is a black agenda in place. There's a plan for HBCUs, the whole 9 yards. I want to see those plans implemented. I don't want to hear talk. I don't want to hear lip service. I want to see pen to paper. I want to see it done. I want to see it implemented, and I want to see. That's what I want to see. All right, moving forward. All right.
So, Chuck, if
Yeah.
I could flip it real quick.
Yeah.
So we're talking about what we think is what we expect for Biden in the beginning of his presidency. Now, they're still counting. They're still doing stuff. There is a possibility.
Yes.
Crazier things have happened. So now let's just flip it and say Biden doesn't win. I don't want to say. I don't want to say it the other way. What would your expectation be of that? You know what I mean? Not what you expect to be done for the black people. What do you think is going to happen? What's going to be our new reality?
The same 4 years or another 4 years, probably worse of what we've had, because this president, not the administration, but this president is a toddler. He is a child. You tried to take his toy away from him. So, what happens with any child that you try to take something away from them that they want? They lash out, they retaliate. And that seems to be his MO. He's done that already. He already has a track record of that. If you don't celebrate him, you're not in his camp. So you're dead to him, so to speak. So now we have campaigned against him. We've campaigned against his administration. We've done everything that we can to shine light on his white supremacy and racism. So if he wins the White House again, what do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean? Yeah, Charles, what's up?
Well, you have to keep in mind that Trump has a whole lot of black supporters. He has spoken before more black conservative groups over the past several months than you can shake a stick at. Now, also, when you look at the election results up to this point, reportedly 18% of black men voted for him. 36% of Latino men also voted for Trump. So, and he makes this proclamation, this claim that he's done more for black people than any other president besides Lincoln.
Right.
Now, we all know that that's a bunch of BS,
Right.
that, much of what has been accomplished for Black America was basically on the, how should I put it, on the tail end of the Obama administration. Right. Matter of fact, when you look at the median household income for black people, it's actually lower under the Trump administration than it was before he got into office. So, and he makes all these claims, and yes, he did move forward with I think it was I forget the exact wording for it, but the crime bill, which basically exonerated or released a bunch of people that were serving extreme crimes for cocaine possession, for example. So there have been some positives that occurred there, but even those initiatives began under Obama. So, but he's making these claims and people are buying it. I guess that's my point. It's like he's saying that I'm doing all these things for African Americans, and there are people out there beating that drum on his behalf. So, but like you guys already said, I think that if he just so happens to get back in there for another 4 years, I agree. It's just going to be much of the same. He's going to take all the credit, for anything that just so happens to improve our condition in one way, shape, or form. But his rhetoric, the things that he says, the things that come out of his mouth, those are the things they're doing more harm to the Black community than anything.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And some things to me you just can't reconcile. You know, there are good people on both sides. You'll never be able to square that with me.
No.
Never. You know, a young lady lost her life. You know, when they drove through that crowd. You know, no mention, no. I mean, he's obviously chosen a side. So when you're the president of the United States, you're supposed to be the president of the United States, not the, one half of the United States. So
All people.
exactly. So, not to mention, he has lied over 20,000 times.
That's
In New
it?
York, it's more than that. I'm being generous. I really am. I'm being generous. And the reason I say that is because there is a wall dedicated to his lies in New York. I've forgotten the name. I have it. I'll try to post it if I can. But it's all sticky pads, sticky notes, and it's all the lies that he's told since he's been in office. And to go even further, it's color coordinated so that that you can tell what it applies to and all that. That's where in the realm of reality is that supposed to exist when you're talking about the president of the United States? The president of the United States is not only a white supremacist. I said it. He's a liar. If you can't trust the word of the commander in chief, and then he's a white supremacist. So then, take Black people out of it. He has no love, no empathy for those that don't look like him. So what do you expect is going to happen in the next 4 years? So that's where I'm at with it, without going on a tirade. We talked about coming down to the wire. So I was looking at the news prior to coming on, obviously, and one of the things that they talked about early on was, Democratic voter suppression efforts and things like that. Not protesters, what Trump supporters have stormed. First of all, they were posted up at the polls. All right. Not only were they posted up at the polls, but they had weapons and, of course, their brochures and stuff like that. Totally illegal, voter suppression. But tonight, watching the news and the count coming in and all that, now it's switched, and they're not worried about. They've stormed the counting places. So they talked about voter suppression for the Democrats early on, but it appears that it's all coming out now that Republicans are doing their thing. But it starts from the top down. The president should be saying, "Hey guys, don't do this." It's just lawlessness in America. Charles, what do you think about this, man? The president, the commander in chief, is allowing Proud Boys, Boogaloo Boys, anybody with a pea shooter, a slingshot to show up at these places unchallenged. He's not sending the police. He's not sending the military. Now, if Black Lives Matter was knocking on the door, what do you think?
But this is who he is, who he has shown himself to be over the past 4 years. So it doesn't come as a surprise, at least to me, and I think to most people. There were two statements that were released earlier today with regards to what's going on with the count. And let me read them. Biden says we should continue the count. I'm confident things will work out in my favor. Okay, just a very dignified presidential type of response, right? And I'm paraphrasing, by the way, these aren't exact quotes. But Trump says, I would have won already had it not been for illegal and the continued counting of mail-in ballots. So, I mean, I think that says it all right there.
Well, wait, but this is the dude who says they're only finding more cases because they're doing more testing.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's the same. It's the same thing. Like
Right.
No, but check this out. He complained. He was mad. He was complaining that they're still counting votes. They're still counting military votes. Yeah, the military always votes by voter.
Absentee ballots.
They always have. This is
Okay.
nothing new, and they're allowed to count military ballots. I believe it's what 3 days post or whatever. For that reason, they're deployed. They're all kinds of stuff. This is nothing new. So this is just it's voter suppression. It's just a tactic to try to if you feel like you're losing, hit dog or holler. You know. So
Well,
so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stefan.
yeah, the key thing with Trump is he really fears going to jail. He fears his family going to jail, and this is what's driving. If Biden says, "Look, bruh, why don't you just step down? I'll pardon you after this," he probably would step down. Now, the thing is, Barton can't pardon Trump for state crimes. And the state of New York and probably a few other states are going to go after them hard and heavy. And so that's what Trump fears. He also fears losing power. I mean, he's a power hungry type of guy. And and that's the challenge. And that's what really irks me. It's not all Trump's doing, it's the Senate's doing too. He was impeached, they acquitted him. And we talk about the presidency, but we got to look at down ballots as well. We've got Mitch McConnell, who led the charge to acquit him, and son of a gun, how the heck did he win Kentucky again? You've got
Kentucky. Are you really?
yeah,
It's
I know.
Kentucky. It's Kentucky.
Right,
Really?
right, but still, he shouldn't have won. And then you got Lindsey Graham, who said Trump is the worst person in the world. If you vote Trump in, then you're asking for trouble. Well, damn it, Lindsey Graham turned face, and now somehow South Carolina voted him in. Don't say anything bad about South Carolina. I got family down there. Anyway, but still, South Carolina allowed him in. And then you got a woman with no backbone, Susan Collins,
Ah,
up in Maine, who she gets so disgusted with Trump that her harshest words are what was one of those? Well, anyway, it had no backbone. So the problem is not only Trump; it's the Senate, and sometimes it can be the House, but it is really the Republican-controlled Senate who, right now, will retain control. So
yep.
now we've got to go hard at whoever's coming up: Mark Rubio, I think Ted Cruz in 2022. You got to go hard at those guys
Yeah.
to remove them, because if not, Biden's going to have it tough. As long as McConnell's around, he will stall. He will do whatever it takes to keep things going conservative in the way they want. That's how they got ACB through in the Supreme Court, because of McConnell's push. Within 30 days, all of a sudden now she's a justice, and she's never tried a case.
Never.
Well, let me ask a question. Do you think that if Biden gets in, that he will receive the same amount of pushback that Obama received?
Yes. Yes, because he was part of the Obama team, one, and then two, they will do whatever it takes to retain control. They may give a few bones to us, but they've already said that McConnell is looking at any nomination that comes up. If that person does not have a centrist view, he won't even get an opportunity to be there. If he's not leaning towards conservative more, forget about it. So yeah, we're going to have the same problem. We're going to have problems with just COVID relief care, because they're going to blow it off. So
Who's
that
gonna go?
no, I believe that the Senate will blow it off. If the Democrats say, "Hey, we need 3 trillion for relief," we're only going to get 1 trillion, maybe from the Senate if we're lucky.
Yeah.
You know, and then taxing the rich, that's not going to happen. It's
Well,
just not going to. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you got a lot of policies under Biden that they're trying to get enacted, and one of them that Republicans are never going to try to allow to fly is term limits. They're in there. They've been in there. Lindsey Graham and what's his name? The one just got reelected. Glasses, turtle guy.
Oh yeah,
He's been in
McConnell.
there,
McConnell.
yeah, at 30, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. That's criminal. That's crazy. They're out of touch. It's all about, it's money.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell is the richest dude. He's the richest dude in his state. He is damn near richer than Kentucky. That's the poorest state. He is richer than the whole damn state. It's crazy, but they keep electing him. You know, I want to move on real quick, man. I want to talk about Trump supporters. For the last 4 years, I mean, some of the most disgusting, vile people have shown up. Now, that's not all Trump supporters, and I'm not trying to put everybody in that box. But you know, the hate that I think we've seen over the last 4 years, unfortunately, has been by somebody wearing a red hat. Okay, so let's say Joe Biden wins. These people aren't going anywhere. You know, are you willing to forgive Trump supporters for the last 4 years, the racism, the hatred, the Karens, the Kyles? Are you willing to forgive and forget? What say you, Mike?
I say no, because I say the hate you give, we give it back. And my thing is that I know people talk about that.
Mike is on mute.
Can't hear you, Mike.
No, I would say the hate you give, just like the movie. You know, you're giving
Yeah.
out the hate, and I think it's going to take a lot because once again, this whole election, this whole past 4 years has brought about a lot of things that people have been wanting to say they weren't able to say, or people are they're happy that people are saying it as their way of expressing, you know, how they feel. And we're just seeing it right now, man. It's just tiring that we're seeing it in this day and age where it's this hard an election after what this man has done within the government, outside of the government, and it's still taking it long for Biden to win. So that's saying a lot about the numbers. So it's got to be something deeper than what we must be missing something. I don't know what it is, and maybe we need to look into it and really do some research and find out why it's going the way it is. You know, we I know we talk about racism, but it's got to be a little bit more than that. It's got to be something that we're not seeing because you know I know and I was reading in the news that this process is taking this long because it is going the right way. There's not a lot of issues so far. I mean, there's the little issues you're talking about, people storming here and there, but the reason why it's taking so long is that they're meticulously counting these votes to make sure they're getting where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. And you know, when it comes to counting the votes, real quick for those of you that are listening, from what I understand, and I was checking into this because, of course, they're claiming that Democrats are stealing the vote. That's the chant. Well, just so you know, at these voting centers where the votes the votes are being counted, they're being counted by Democrats. They're also being counted by Republicans. They're also being counted by independents. And then they all check each other. All right. So the whole notion that there's voter suppression and we can't see what's going on and Republicans aren't in the room, Republicans are in the room. So are Democrats. So are independents for that reason to keep it legit. All right. So I just want to put that out there for the people that may say, well, you know, no, I've been looking, and that's the whole purpose of this, man, to keep it on the up and up. You know, Charles, what do you think about these Trump supporters and what's been going on over the last 4 years? They're not going anywhere. What do we do with them?
Yeah, well, I'm just bracing myself for the post-election reaction that we may have as a result of it, especially again if Biden wins. I would definitely be in a posture of watching my back if I'm going through a red state.
Yeah.
I just so happen to live in a blue state who voted blue, and you know, in a landslide victory for Biden. I wouldn't necessarily have those concerns where I live today. However, if I'm just so happen to be traveling out west, you know, down south, some you know, one of these areas, then I'm definitely watching my back for sure, because there are some folks out here that are just not stable. And you see that day in and day out with regards to their reactions as it relates to this man. I mean, he is truly um, Teflon Don, as they say. No matter what he does, no matter what he says, there is going to be a portion of the population that just supports everything that he does. I mean, 68.5 million people voted for this man, and it's still counting, right? So I'm just bracing myself for the reaction, bro. You know.
What about you, Wayne?
I think that I'm more what I said it earlier about it being as close as it is. I think that tells us a lot. I don't think that anyone's going to fall back and try to get any forgiveness. I think they're going to feel strength and power in knowing that, hey, I'm half the country. We're part of, you know. So I think they get bolder. I think I don't think it gets, I don't think if Biden wins, they fall back and say, oh, well, since he lost, we're going to have to suppress our feelings. These people they out there, and they're going to continue to be out there. So I think you got to be conscious of that and know that that's out there. Like Charles said, you got to know where you at. Maybe you might need to watch your back and make sure that you're not putting yourself in a bad situation. But yeah, you kind of look at people a little bit different now because it just I have a problem getting over the fact that it should not be this close. Yeah. He has a track record. He has a track record, and that means that people they've seen it and are okay with it. You know, one thing I wanted to bring up also, you know, we're talking about policies, and I know there's been some challenges over the tax policies, and one of the ones that Biden was talking about that got a bunch of celebrities all up in a tizzy because of over $400,000, that kind of thing. I mean, you know, hey, he still has to get that past the Senate and past the House, right? But they're making it like it's a law already. You know what I mean? Now, if you make under $400,000, you could care less about this, right? But once you make more than that, it's a problem potentially. Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about 40% of your income, that's a bunch of money. So again, I don't make 400,000, so I'm good with it. But hey, if I get there, I'm gonna have something to say. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I feel you. Stefan, you?
I'll tell you, Facebook has enlightened me on a lot of things about a lot of people. You know, especially ones from high school or even in the military. Now, granted, I realize that the majority of the military officers are conservative. The majority of military officers are white. But Facebook has told me exactly where they stand. You know, they smiled in my face and even patted me on the back and helped get me promoted and things of that nature. But y'all some serious rednecks. I mean, if you support Trump and you served in the military, at some point, you got to look at yourself and say, well, maybe I was like this the entire time. Now, I knew a lot of them didn't like Obama. I got it. Yeah, he's a black guy. I got it. A lot of you don't like general officers who happen to be black. Got it. But you got to respect the position. But Trump has definitely kind of shown where my so-called friends and family stand. Hey, one thing I wanted to note, and I just found this fascinating, and it's a different subject, but we're talking about states and territories and things of that nature. You know, over 200,000 people voted for Biden in the District of Columbia, but almost 15,000 voted for Trump. I know there's not 15,000 government workers in DC that are white that live in DC that voted for Trump. So it shows that some of us from the African American community voted for this guy, and some Latinos probably voted against their, you know, up in Columbia Heights, voted against their own self-interest for this guy. Almost 15,000 people in the District of Columbia voted for Trump. So yeah, this country has a long way to heal, but we need to.
I'll say this about the 15,000 number. Man, don't sleep on the power struggle in the District of Columbia. You know, I've seen some really crazy stuff in terms of people in leadership positions that say one thing, but really, you know, mean something else, and it's crazy. And that's Black folks and white folks.
Correct.
You know? So Yeah, I mean, that number coming out of DC is both kind of, to me, I guess, kind of disappointing, and um, I guess it should be celebrated as well. You know, District of Columbia wasn't having it. They stood up, but you know that 15,000 is still a pretty troubling number.
Yeah.
Am I willing to forgive Trump supporters? First, let me say this. Um, we've made the correlation, or at least I have. I don't want to say that the podcast has. I'm going to say that I have made the correlation between racism and conservatives. Let me say this for the record. I don't think all Republicans are racist. I want to make sure that I make that distinction. I don't believe all conservatives are racist, but from my observation, no one else's, from my observation, all the rhetoric, all the racial tension, all the racial talk that I've seen have come from Republicans, all right, who have later turned out to be white supremacists or racist or what have you. So, you know, all racists aren't Republican, but chances are, if you're a racist, you are a Republican. So, for me, for 45 supporters for the next, you know, if you hate me, I hate you. And I don't compromise on that. Why should I? You have shown me that you hated me. You've done everything to take everything away from me. And in trying to take everything away from me, a grown man, adult with a wife and children, you try to negatively impact me and my family. You tried to hurt my kids. Take me out of it. If I can't provide for my kids, you are negatively impacting me and my family. And you are proud to do it. So if you hate me, I hate you. Now, that doesn't mean that I cannot, you know, I don't wish violence or anything like that, but we can't break bread. We can't do business. No, I don't do that because to me, that's what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Because when Trump became president and white supremacy, you know, people started sticking their chests out. Yes, we're out in the sunshine, they're alive, all this, but now they don't necessarily want to go back. But so it's gonna be a mess, fellas. It's gonna be a mess for the next couple of years. We just got to try to, you know, love each other the best we can, love our families, move forward, keep taking care of ourselves, and just realize that 50% of the United States of America is racist. And this vote, this last election, said that even if I'm not racist, racism wasn't a non-starter for me. That's a problem. That's a problem, and that's what goes on in these police departments when people look the other way. Your violence against Black people is not a non-starter for me. I can look the other way as long as my paycheck keeps coming in, and I can look the other way. These are the things that, you know, if you hate me, I hate you. If you allow Black people, my brothers and sisters, to be killed, so let's try to turn this around and make it a little lighter. Is there any way we can lighten this up a little bit? What are the positives that can hopefully come out of this, you know, this election? What are the positives? Anybody?
Yeah, I'll lead. The positive is the fact that we've had more Black votes than we've probably ever had. In other words, African Americans got out to the polls, and we
And young
showed
people being engaged.
exactly. We showed up and showed out, and definitely the young people extremely engaged. You know, I've got a 20-year-old niece. This is her first time for a presidential election. She was ecstatic. You know, so shout outs to the young people that have gotten involved. They're doing phone banks. They're doing whatever it takes to get out there and encourage their fellow citizens to vote. Also, shout out to Major League Sports. You know, they're not saying, hey, who to vote for. They're just saying exercise your right to vote. So, you know, big shout out to all the Major League Sports that get out there and ensured that they had the commercials. They became influencers to tell people to exercise your right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Um, Before we go, I want to touch on something real quick. This is a very tumultuous time. Let's not make any mistake about that. Violence is on the rise. People are being hurt. People's opinions aren't being taken into consideration. People just don't talk anymore. There's a story that came out yesterday, I believe it was. Two individuals. The first one is, do you remember the young black lady who with her crew went down to Black Lives Matter Plaza in DC, threw the black paint onto the mural and started to try to cover it up with black paint? Her name was Beverly, I believe it was Beverly Beatty. I'll double check that name for you. She was in town the other day, along with the head of a division of the Proud Boys. They were together. Now, this guy who is the head of this division of the Proud Boys is of color. Now, I can't tell if he's black or if he's Hispanic, but he looks to be more Hispanic, but he is of color, and I know that because I saw a prior interview with him, and he said, yes, I'm a person of color, and all Proud Boys aren't white, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So now you got a Proud Boy member, and you have this anti-Black Lives Matter activist down there, and they're about to start some crap. Well, they came to DC and they ran into the wrong folks. Now, they tried to say that Black Lives Matter beat them up and all this, but that wasn't the case. Turns out later, after police reports and all that, that the people that accosted them were some fascists or anti-fascists or whatever. These two individuals, the Proud Boy and this Beverly person, both of them were stabbed. All right. So them being conservatives, I'm going to assume obviously the other side was anti, so that would make them, to me, I guess, Democrats. Listen, that's not what we need. You know, this podcast may not reach the people that it needs to reach in order for this message to get across, but Just Be a Man podcast, we do not condone violence in any way, shape, or form. We don't promote it on this podcast. And even with what we talked about today, you know, in my words, if you hate me, I hate you. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and try to start anything. And I don't think anybody's going to try to start anything with me, but I want to make it abundantly clear that we don't promote or associate with hate. But this is the time that we live in, and we're just speaking on it. That's what we're doing. We also want to make sure that people understand that Democrat or Republican, the only way to get through this is to talk. All right, not with violence. You don't stab people. We don't do that. Democrats, we don't do that. Independents, we don't do that. Republicans, I don't want you guys to do that here. All right. We're going to try to end this podcast on a higher note, and that higher note is love. All right. We want to spread some love. All right. We wish healing across the United States. Republicans, Democrats, we all need to talk. We need to come together. We need to try to figure this stuff out. And out there in your communities, you know, if you talk. Charles, what you got, man?
Just real quick, we would be remiss if we did not discuss Kamala. At least for a few minutes, man. Come on now.
Yeah.
We have a woman that's on the ticket, Black woman on the ticket, HBCU grad, AKA the whole 9 yards. And we have not mentioned her once up until this point. So that in and of itself is just incredible as far as the historical significance of it all. Yeah. And if we're talking about ending this thing on a positive note, if they cross over to 270 and she is sitting in that seat, man, you're talking about just something I mean, what does that say to our daughters?
Yes, sir.
For example. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
the glass ceiling at that point it's broken, it's shattered forever. We've already, the color line has already been shattered with Barack Obama. Now you're dealing with, the first female or woman vice president. The path to the White House is clear. And you're right, Charles. I am 150% remiss in not mentioning Kamala Harris, and I sincerely apologize. And her accomplishments are to be celebrated, and she is not to be diminished in any way whatsoever. She's been absolutely fantastic throughout this whole process. In her debate, she handed my man an L, you know, and what I don't know if you guys remember this, you probably do, but you know what happens to all of our Black women? They get marginalized. She gave this man, this professional woman gave this man the ass whooping that he deserved, and what she get for it? Oh, she's angry. We didn't like her facial expressions. she was just so dismissive of the first vice president. No, she cleaned this damn clock because she's educated. She knew what she came in there prepared. She knew what to talk about, the whole 9 yards. So shout out to Kamala Harris. I am so sorry that I did not bring you up in the first go round. Charles, my man, I'm so glad you have my follow up. And
Hey,
that is the positive note to end up on.
and can you imagine her line sisters if she or any Howard grad
Oh,
if
it's a
they
wrap.
win?
It's
Oh
a
my
wrap.
God, they're gonna be insufferable. Oh
Oh,
my
man.
God.
Every HBCU out here, brother. Come on, man. The
No,
sisters
but
are
no,
gonna be
how?
on the yard tearing it up.
Oh no, but Howard grads are gonna be the worst, and her
Oh yeah.
line sisters. Oh my God. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah.
it'll be well deserved.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, before we go out, I'm just gonna throw it to each one of you guys. Mike, you got anything you want to throw out to the folks? All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll just. Y'all hear me?
yeah, I got you. I'm sorry.
No, I would just like to say, I see your true colors shining through. Mic drop.
It wouldn't be a podcast. It wouldn't be just be a man. Wait, what you got, brother? Let's close this out, man.
Oh man, I don't know how to follow that, but no, I think this is this is the process that there's a time that we've all been waiting for. We've been waiting for a long time to get here. It's not quite over yet. We're getting closer and closer. I'm trying to keep a happy thought, but I'm still waiting for the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for it. So, hey, I hope it comes out good, but I won't be surprised if it don't.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Charles?
I would just say, man, I'm not going to rest comfortably until that 270 mark is reached by the Biden campaign, and prayerfully that happens in short order, and we can move this thing forward and see what happens after that. But I would not be surprised one bit if there's some rabbits that are pulled out of some hats somewhere, and it ends up going the other way. But we'll see. Stay tuned, and we'll all find out together.
Stefan?
I'll tell you, congratulations to everyone that voted. I don't care who you voted for, as long as you voted. But I'll tell you what, if you walk up to me and say, "Well, I didn't vote this year," we might have to move some furniture, because this was too important. Our grandparents, our parents, they fought for the right to vote, and this election was too important not to. So I encourage you in the future. If you didn't vote this time, make sure you show up to the next primary, because the local elections are just as important as the national elections. So thanks.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. Well, first, I'd like to say thank you to these knuckleheads, because I'm you notice I've been talking all the time. I'm the political dude. They allowed me to shine for one episode, and I appreciate it. But yeah, man, we've got a long way to go in this country. We really do.
Amen.
But take comfort in the fact that, like me, you have people around you to lift you up and support you. I got these dudes, and we're gonna take it a day at a time, like we always have. We're gonna get through it, the best way we can. But we're gonna get through this together, because that's how we roll. I'm Chuck. They done shut the power off for me. This has been Just Be a Man. We're gonna wrap this thing up. It's been absolutely fantastic, and we look for us on all your podcast platforms. We're on Spreaker. We're on. Hey man, if you got Alexa and you are just sitting at your kitchen table, say, "Hey Alexa, turn on Just Be a Man." See what happens. You might be surprised. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
Deuces.